All right, now I've collected a lot of references, but they're all chaotic. So what I do is I organize them into my assignment. So this is assignment 1. I've got my sketch here, and then I've got my reference folder. So it's nice to bring them from your downloads onto your desktop all into one folder so that you can do this. First, you can click on this icon in a Mac and say arrange them by name, right? Just so it puts them into a nice grid. We're going to turn this folder into what's called the design board. And a design board is in a creative studio. You'll have like a cork board or a magnetic board or something, and you put up all the different inspirations you're working with. So to make this a useful design board, I'm going to click on these 3 dots in a circle, use the drop down and say show view options. This is just for this window. And I'm going to make the icon size big enough that I can actually see what they are. I'm going to close the grid spacing, maybe even take the text size down so I can see the images clearly. So this is a good bunch of images. I've got 24 images here, 6 by 4. I'm not going to use all of them. But this kind of shows me what I've got. I'm going to collapse it a little bit just so I can see them all, keep them on screen. Now, which ones am I really excited about in my sketch? And they can surprise you, you know. So I'm pretty excited about this duck. It's actually a duck, according to it. So I'm going to mark that green. And I'm thinking, where do I want that duck to go? I think I want that in my middle ground. So if I want to alter my sketch to better reflect my references, I can do that. So what I'm going to do is open up my sketch in Photopea. But before I do that, I want to do what I've already done. I want to make a post and then post my sketch, like you guys are doing, because that acknowledges the deadline. And the sketch is part of the requirements. So now in Photopea, I'm going to open up my sketch. Those are the lights. Take them away. So the sketch, being in Photopea, I have a few advantages. I can use image adjustments and levels, which we used before. We're going to be using it more, just to make it a little bit more clear. And now I'm actually going to use my tablet. You don't need to do this. You can just do this by hand. But just so I can show it in the video. And I'm going to start painting on a new layer on top of this background. I'm just going to use a paintbrush tool. We'll be using this later. We'll be using this for digital coloring and digital inking and digital painting later. I'm going to make my brush just a very simple brush in Photopea. It's going to be like a middle size. Its hardness is going to be 100%. But because, and I'm doing it black, but what I want to do is, let's see. This should be pressure sensitive. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so that's my brush, right? The problem is, no matter how lightly I press with my tablet, it's filling up the whole thing like I'm using a mouse. So I need to click on this option here, which allows the stylus to have pressure sensitivity. And then I can go thin to thick. Photopea is actually a pretty helpful program. It's in tool settings sometimes a little different than Photoshop, but it has all the capability. So there's my brush. First thing I'm going to do is lightly erase out. I'll do it at a low opacity, or a lower opacity. But I'm just going to revisit this now, thinking of my references. So I can kind of see what's there. Now on top of that, let's put in the things I like. So duck, I'm going to put this in as number 1. I'm just going to click on it and then hit return to rename it. I'm going to rename it number 1, and I'm going to mark it green. Where do I want that duck in the composition? I want it basically where I had the hamburger hills before. And it's great if you can see your whole style board while you're doing this. So I'm going to put the duck right here. Do I need to draw it well? No, not at all. Number 1. I just need to show where it is within the format. This is my landscape format. Next. What am I excited about? I love this spaghetti. I'm going to mark it green. I'm going to call it number 2. It's like my mom always said, spaghetti makes for great number 2. All right. Then I have the hamburgers. I got many to choose from. I kind of like the tilt of this one, how it's more bun than anything else. So I'm going to choose that. Can always change my mind later. Hit return, call it number 3. So I have the spaghetti, it's behind the duck. This is a hill of spaghetti. So that's number 2. I could also call it spaghetti if I want. I just don't like writing with the stylus all that much. This hamburger is going to go back here and maybe is going to overlap over the top of the spaghetti. Like that. So that's number 3. I've got the goulash, which I didn't expect. This was the pig flesh image. Make that number 4. I want that to be what my duck is kind of swimming in. So this is my middle ground. Goulash 4. I've got the cotton candy sky. That's number 5. Now I've got 5 references, but I don't need to stop there. That's going to be the sky. It's very dramatic. I've got the pizza. This is my sun. This will be number 6. Mark it green. And where do I want the sun? Well, let's put it right here. 6. I should probably move my 5. This is all making sense so far? Now I have middle ground and I have background. I don't yet have foreground. So this is how you can understand it. And I'm going to turn... Oh, I don't have a camera on this one. All right. So for the YouTube video, you're just going to have to follow along with my voice. But in class, you get to watch me and do what I do. Put both hands up. Okay? Put one hand in front of your face about 20 inches back. Basically a full arm width, maybe 24 inches. Put the other hand halfway between that hand and your face. Now focus on the hand that's closest to your face. Notice that it's sharp and in focus. Wiggle your other fingers without focusing on them. You'll notice that they're blurry. Also, everything behind your other hand is blurry. So this is what you have, 2 layers of depth. The hand closest to your face is sharp and in focus and contrasted. That is your foreground. Everything else is your background. Everyone agree? Now, same thing, but you're going to look through the hand that's closest to you. And you're going to focus on the hand that's furthest away. Now that hand is sharp and in focus, has the biggest light contrast. And the hand that's closest to your face, what does it look like? Looks blurry, like you're looking right through it. So that now, the blurry part, that's foreground. The hand in the middle, or the hand that's furthest away, that's middle ground. The thing that's sharp and in focus. And notice, if you can, what's behind your hand. It's the blurry background. So this is 3 distinct layers of depth. Foreground, middle ground, and background. You only get that when you have a sharp focus on the middle ground. So I want the duck to be the middle ground. So I need something in front of it, like the blurry fingers. And that's where I can use these mushrooms, maybe. That's one idea. They're not that dramatic. Oh, I have my French fries. I forgot about my French fries. But I also have these little French fry trees or French fry grasses that I think could work well in the immediate foreground. So it's often something you're looking past. So if I took these French fries, notice in this photo, the French fries are foreground. Everything else is very strong background. In fact, the way the depth of field, probably a macro setting on this camera, we have foreground and then like middle ground French fries because they're blurred. But I want these foreground French fries. So that one's pretty good. I could also maybe use this one. But I like how this has more space in between. It's more plant-like. So I think I'm going to use this. And now that's going to be number 7. And then there are other things I kind of want to use if I can. But let me just put that in. So those French fries, where are they going to be most effective? Probably right here. I'm going to do it with a different color just so you can see the advantages of sketching digitally. They're going to overlap a lot, right? So that's really going to make it seem like something's in the extreme foreground. So that is number 7. And you can always kind of call out. The reason I want you to sketch where you don't fill up the page and instead you make little internal boxes for your thumbnail sketches, that's what these are called, compositional sketches, is so you can always make notes or you could always change their format if you want to, right? You're not locked to whatever your sketchbook page is. You also don't have as much space to fill. All right. So that's my horizontal composition. I like it. But I asked you to do it in at least 2 ways. Portrait format, landscape format. So I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to erase out again. And now I know all my green ones are the ones I want, or that I used for this one. Are there others? Like I didn't use the chicken nuggets at all. And those are fantastic. So I'm going to actually go ahead and mark those green. But I'm going to call this A. So I have numbers and I have letters, right? And so this is one I might add to here. Like another hill with the spaghetti. Because those chicken nuggets are pretty wonderful. Maybe I put them right here. So that might be A. Okay, but here I want to really build it with that in mind. So that mountain range is going to go right here. That is A. Let's see, what else am I excited about using? These French fries are pretty cool for the middle ground. Or I could use the duck again, but I'm just kind of acknowledging and exploring and interrogating my references here by thinking about it in all these different ways. So B is only going to be for this vertical one, but these French fries are going to go kind of right here. So we're getting some depth. I might use the exact same sky, so that sky is 5. And then I want kind of a background hill, background mountain. Maybe for that I use this hamburger. So I'll call that C. Mark it orange. I just like that it's less symmetrical than that one. That's a beautiful hamburger photo, but sometimes I want the more off-kilter. Also, remember what we can do when we transform things. We can always flip them. So you can change kind of the angle. So I think I like that angle on the hamburger better. So I might put that here. So that is C. So now I've got 4 references. Now I need an extreme foreground again, and this time I'm going to use cotton candy. So that's going to be D. Oh, this big cotton candy tree. Now I'm just trying to make basic sketch with about 5 elements. So that's going to go right there. I don't have enough middle ground in this one yet, but I could get it. I could get it from any of my other references. I could use the goulash, all of that. Once you've done that, notice how I have marked with color the ones that I think are most useful. Actually, this would be a good one too. So this might be This is how orderly I get. This might be